Welcome to Dual Diagnosis Anonymous. My name is Johnny and I am Dual Diagnosis and I'll be facilitating this meeting. Can we please take a moment of silence followed by the serenity prayer? God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Welcome to another edition of DDA, Dual Diagnosis Anonymous. I want to welcome you once again. I hope that you're having starting off to have a great weekend. I'm enjoying this weather change, and hope you are too. I want to dive right into this because I have to go do group here in a little bit. So I want to make sure that I get this video out the way. So I want to bring your attention to something that happened to me this week. You know, my boss came to me and made me aware that she needed to talk to me when I got off work. But she didn't tell me what she wanted to talk to me about. For somebody that has anxiety and depression, that's a big no-no. You don't make somebody aware of something and then don't explain to them or tell them what it is that you want to talk to them about. You're leaving them in suspense. Because when you do that, it triggers your anxiety. It puts you in another state of mind. And that other state of mind is one that I'm talking about is overthinking. So I had to work 12 hours wondering what it is that she wanted me to talk about. Now see, the thing about overthinking is, it is what it is. You overthink. You think about things that you didn't even think about. You make the worst case scenario. So I'm thinking, what is it that she want to talk to me about? What did I do now? What is it, my mind is just racing. And don't you know that right there alone can make you have racing thoughts? Overthinking causes you to lose focus. It makes you impulsive. It makes you easily distracted. And so I had to work all night long wondering what it is that this lady wanted to talk to me about. So even a medical professional like myself and someone that's in recovery, I still have a problem with overthinking. So today, I want to talk about how to stop overthinking. I want to give you some things that you can do because we all do it. We just don't recognize that we're doing it. But let me tell you, overthinking really affects your mental health, whether you realize it or not. It really does. Overthinking can trigger your anxiety. Overthinking can also trigger your depression. It works both ways. So what is overthinking? Overthinking is simply what its name suggests: thinking too much. The overthinking brain cannot translate these thoughts into actions or positive outcomes. So therefore creates feelings of stress and anxiety. Thinking about something in endless circles is exhausting. While everyone overthinks a few things occasionally, chronic overthinkers spend most of their waking time ruminating, which puts pressure on themselves. They then mistake the pressure to be stress. There are people who have levels of overthinking that are just pathological. But the average person also just tends to overthink things. Overthinking can take many forms, endlessly deliberating when deciding, and then questioning the decision. Attempting to read minds, trying to predict the future, reading into the smallest of details, and etc. People who overthink constantly run commentaries in their heads, criticizing and picking apart what they said and did yesterday, terrified that they look bad, and fretting about a terrible future that might await them. What ifs and should dominate their thinking, as if an invisible jury is sitting in the judgment seat on their lives. And they also agonize over the post online because they are deeply concerned about how other people will interpret their posts and updates. They put sleep well. They do not sleep well because ruminating and worrying keep them awake at night. Ruminators repeatedly go over events, asking big questions. Why did that happen? What does it mean? But they never find any answers. If you consistently focus on ruminating and make it a habit, it becomes a loop. And the more you do it, the harder it is to stop. So often, people confuse overthinking with problem solving. We're not really solving a problem. Overthinking is destructive and mentally draining. It can make you feel like you are stuck in one place. And if you do not act, it can greatly impact on your day-to-day life. It can quickly put your health and total well-being at risk. Ruminating makes you more susceptible to depression and anxiety. Many people overthink because they fear the future and what could potentially go wrong. Because we feel vulnerable about the future, we keep trying to solve problems in our head. The worry trick. How your brain tricks you into expecting the worst, and what can you do about it? Extreme overthinking can easily sap your sense of control over your life. It robs us of active participation in everything around us. Chronic warriors show an increased incidence of coronary problems and suppressed immune functioning. Dwelling on the past or the future also takes us away from the present, rendering us unable to complete the work currently on our plates. If you ask ruminators how they are feeling, none will say happy. Most feel miserable. Overthinking can trap the brain into worry cycles. When ruminating becomes as natural as breathing, you need to quickly deal with it and find a solution to it. When an unpleasant event puts us in a despondent mood, it's easier to recall other times when we felt terrible. That can set the stage for the ruminator to work yourself into a downward spiral. Putting an end to rehashing, second-guessing, and catastrophic prediction is easier said than done. But with consistent practice, you can limit your negative thinking patterns. Number 1, notice when your overthinking is too much. Awareness is the first step in putting an end to overthinking. Start paying attention to the way you think. When you notice yourself replaying events in your mind over and over, or worrying about things you cannot control, acknowledge that your thoughts are not productive. Number 2, challenge your thoughts. It is easy to get carried away with negative thoughts. Before you conclude that calling in sick is going to get you fired, or that forgetting one deadline is going to cause you to become homeless, acknowledge that your thoughts may be exaggeratedly negative. Learn to recognize and replace thinking errors before they work you into a complete frenzy. Number 3, keep the focus on active problem solving. Dwelling on your problems isn't helpful, but looking for a solution is. Ask yourself, what steps can I take to learn from the mistake or avoid a future problem? Instead of asking why something happened, ask yourself, what can you do about it? Number 4, schedule time for reflection. Stewing on problems for long periods of time is not productive, but brief reflection can be helpful. Thinking about how you could do things differently or recognize potential pitfalls to a plan, for example, can help you do better in the future. Incorporate 20 minutes of thinking time into your daily schedule. During this time, let yourself worry, ruminate, or mull over whatever you want. Then when the time is up, move into something more productive. When you notice yourself overthinking things outside of your scheduled time, remind yourself that you will think about it later. Number 5, practice mindfulness. It is impossible to rehash yesterday or worry about tomorrow when you are living in the present. Commit to becoming more aware of what the here and now, about the here and now. Mindfulness takes practice. Like any other skill, but over time, it can decrease your overthinking. And number 6, change your channel. Telling yourself to stop thinking about something can backfire. The more you try to avoid the thought from entering your brain, the more likely it is to keep popping up. Busying yourself with an activity is the best way to change the channel. Exercise, engage in conversations on a completely different subject, and get working on a project that will distract your mind from a barrage of negative thoughts. Now, I brought up that subject because, like I said, a lot of us overthink. People can say something to us that causes us to overthink. Now, I went 12 hours overthinking the worst case scenarios. I didn't slow my thinking down until I actually sat there in front of my director this morning. And when I did, it was something totally different than what I thought about. And that's what overthinking does. It causes you to miss the mark. It causes you to create scenarios that's not even real, that don't even exist. You replay the tape of different episodes and events over and over and over again, trying to figure out what could it be. You find yourself going and talking to other people about something that you don't even understand, less known they. It causes you to freeze right in your tracks. Because it's hard to focus on something when you got a lot of things that you're focusing on. When you got too many thoughts running through your mind, it's hard to focus. Virtually almost impossible. And that's why we wind up doing things and saying things that we don't mean to do. So if you're like me, be mindful of your thoughts. That's what causes people to do and say things that they don't mean to do and say. And then once they calm down and they start thinking about what they've done, the first thing they say is, that's not me. I don't know what made me do that. Well, it's pretty obvious what made you do it. You're overthinking. Overthinking can cause you also to self-sabotage. You start doing good. Then the next thing you know, you're sabotaging the situation. Somebody asks you a question or somebody tell you something, the first thing you do is say, so what you're saying is you think the total opposite of what they said and blow it out of context. It makes it hard to hold a conversation with an overthinker because they take the smallest thing and they blow it up into something big. They take what you say and they twist it into something totally different. And it makes people not even want to talk to you. But overthinking is bad for your mental health. It causes people to have mental breakdowns and nervous breakdowns. It causes them to get stuck in, like it said in the reading, it causes you to get stuck in a loop. You can't move forward and you can't go backwards. You're just walking in circles, spinning your wheels, not accomplishing anything because it actually shuts you down. And don't do people like that. Because when you're an overthinker, you can cause other people to overthink. Because just like my boss did me, we do that to other people. Girl, I got something to tell you. Well, tell me, girl. And then the next thing you know, they overthinking. You start stressing them out. It makes them start thinking the worst case scenarios. So think about what you're thinking about. But like I told one of my members, thoughts are going to come in our minds whether we like it or not. But the thing you want to be mindful of is the action you take behind the thought. As they say, a thought is a thought, as long as you don't put no action behind it. So I'm not going to take up too much more time. And this is something that I just wanted to put out there because I know if it affects me, I know that it affects others. And so, just like I always do, I want to close out with just for today. Just for today, I will focus on my DDA recovery program of the 12 steps plus 5. Just for today, I will remain clean and sober, and if I'm taking medication, I will do so as prescribed. Just for today, I will keep an open mind and be willing to listen to the advice of my DDA support group, my prescriber, and my clinician. Just for today, I will allow myself to have faith in someone in the DDA program who has faith in me and my recovery. Just for today, I would have a program. I recognize that I may make mistakes along the way, but I will follow the DDA program to the best of my ability. Just for today, I will utilize the DDA program of shared experiences, strength, solidarity, and hope in order to gain a better perspective on my life. Just for today, I will not dwell on the past nor place undue concern on the future. Just for today, I will not grant worry, fear, space in my thoughts by choosing to live one day at a time. And by following the principles of DDA, I need not be afraid. Just for today, I will see how working an honest program is helping others and allow the blessings of my higher power to flow throughout my life. Just for today, I will allow myself to be me. I will accept myself for whom I am and where I am. I will allow others the same courtesy that they may be free to grow and that I may be freed from the burden of resentment. Just for today, I will live life. I will live and let live. If I become unable to do this, then I will place trust in my higher power and remind myself to just let go and let God. Just for today, I will live life on life's terms. And by doing so, I recognize when I need support for my symptoms or do a diagnosis, and when I'm in danger of relapse, I will seek help from the fellowship of DDA, my higher power, my prescriber, and my clinician. Just for today. I pray that you all have a wonderful, blessed weekend. And again, pay attention to your thoughts. When you find yourself overthinking, follow these simple steps to help you to get back on track. Because what people don't recognize is when you overthink and you don't do anything about it, over time, it takes a toll on your brain. Your brain becomes overloaded very easily. It stimulates very easily. And you don't want to be the next patient winding up in a psych ward for something that you could have dealt with a long time ago. So God bless you. I pray that you all have a wonderful weekend. See you next Friday.